Hello everyone, my name is Sarah Rustemeyer. I am the current graduate assistant, or GA, for Alvernia University's Graduate and Adult Education Department. And today I'm going to be presenting on all you need to know about applying to graduate school. Typically, we do host this graduate info session in person, but due to recent events of the world, we are providing you with this online presentation. We typically do have this event about once every semester, and it is in person for discussion. But today we are just going to be providing you this recording so you can refer back to if you have any questions, and you could play it back and look at any information you may have missed. Just a general overview of what we are going to be sharing today. We're going to start off with if you're considering grad school and if it is the right choice for you based on either your professional goals or your profession. And then we're going to move into a general timeline of a application process. And then we're going to be moving into Alvernia specific programs. And then I will be sharing my current graduate experience. Starting off, you want to consider your profession. So what I mean by this is, what do you want to do? What is your goal? You really want to know what you want to achieve because graduate school is a very large investment, not only for money, but also part of your time. When considering this, you want to think, do I really need to advance myself in my education? And what your goals are for your profession. So do you need a certain amount of credentials necessary to get to where you want to be? Like, for example, do you need a license or do you need a different certification? So once you figure out what you want to do with your personal and professional goals, you really want to network with people that are either currently in grad school or people who are in your profession that wish they went to grad school, or people who have a graduate degree. You want to talk with them and you want to see what their experience is like. How did it give them an advantage in their field if they did go to grad school? What did they enjoy? Or what did they wish they have done differently? And then you want to begin your graduate school search. I suggest that you should look for a university or college that is accredited, which means that your education is coming from a valid place. And also, the accrediting bodies assess the university standards, typically for the professional programs. And accreditation from your university or college also allows you to be eligible for financial aid. And you are able to transfer your credits over to other institutions. And at the end of your education, if those licensures or certifications are necessary, you are able to pursue those professional licensures in your field after you graduate. Next, you want to visit your school of interest. Of course, you want to see what the campus is like, what the school is like that you are applying to and possibly going to in the future. If you are going to commute or dorm, seeing if your university or college of interest has a place for graduate students to dorm. That is very essential if that is something that you need. Also visiting, you get to see what class size you prefer. Do you like smaller classrooms? Do you like larger classrooms? Typically, I will say that graduate programs, you will have a smaller cohort or class size just due to the nature of the specialization of your field. And of course, you want to meet your faculty, you want to meet the people that you're going to be spending the majority of your time with and you're getting your education from. Next, you want to correspond with your admissions counselors. Their job is to help benefit you and benefit your educational experience. Ask any questions that you may have. You want to schedule an appointment so you can fully comprehend the ins and outs of your programs that you're applying for because it is such a large investment in your life. Grad school is also a very hefty cost. So you want to make sure that you are looking at how you're going to afford this. There are multiple ways you can pay out of pocket, which isn't usually popular, but you can also take out loans, and we'll get into that in a little bit. You also want to see if your employer will be able to reimburse you for your experience. That is pretty popular. See if the school provides any scholarships, or if you apply for any other personal scholarships. Sometimes it is a little difficult to get those scholarship opportunities as a graduate student. Or do they have a GA? See if your program applies for a GA. Typically, they would compensate your tuition without compensating for the fees, which is a very much lower cost in comparison to what your degree would actually be. And typically you would have to work certain hours or serve on certain committees or do different tasks for the department that you are applying for. You want to start looking at your program length. See how many semesters or years it is going to complete. Certain degrees require internship or practicum or clinical hours. So that is something to consider, all to be considered with your personal life, with your working, your family life, anything like that. And of course, with that, you want to look into your flexibility. Are you a completely online learner? That is an option for some places. Are you a person who likes to take their courses in the daytime or the evening? That is something to really look into as well. Considering a full-time or part-time, that depends on your credit. You have to maintain 6 credits for federal financial aid if that's something you're interested in, or typically 9 credits would be full-time for a master's program and 6 credits would be full-time for a doctoral program. Moving on, we are going to provide you with kind of a general application process. Do look into your university or college of choice, their application process. This is just a general overview of what to consider. So to start off, you obviously want to look into the application deadlines. Some programs you are rolling admission, so that means they will take students all the way up until the beginning of the term, whereas some other programs require you to apply a whole year ahead, and that is typically for more professional programs. My recommendation is always to start early. It's better to just get it all sorted out and make sure that everything is in by the deadline and you won't have to rush around last minute and worry about it. But also the importance of starting early is that things like transcripts, recommendation letters, observation hours, if your program requires that, those take time to acquire. So just making sure that you have sufficient time to get all of that together is really important. If your program requires an entrance exam, you would need to get into that program. I would recommend taking that towards the fall. Those are some examples: the GRE, GMAT, MCAT, LSAT, just for some reference depending on the program that you are entering. And most graduate schools do require a personal resume or a CV, and you would want to get that looked over by somebody, either at your current school if they have career development services. You'd want to look into there, and they can help you polish up your resume and things to prior to sending in to your application. And make sure you market yourself. Talk about different experiences that you've had throughout your life or throughout your undergraduate or professional experience. You want to look at things like, did you perform any research? Do you have any special clearances? Do you have any observation hours or any service opportunities that you've done thus far? And then you want to start writing your personal statement. And this is somewhere like your resume. You get to showcase why you want to be accepted into the program, but also just some of your skills, some of your passions that coincide with the field that you want to go into. You want to pay your application fees, start researching financial aid and scholarships when applicable. That will really help you pay for your educational experience. And of course, if you have an interview, make sure you prep for that, wear appropriate attire. I always recommend bringing a copy of your resume so they have that right then and there. And some interviews for graduate programs, they may be one like yourself and the program director, or it could be you on a panel with other applicants as well. So it could differ from school to school. So now into Alvernia specific benefits of coming here. We are an accredited institution, and the majority of our programs are accredited in the necessary fields. So for example, I'm a Master's of Clinical Counseling student, and we are CACREP accredited. So that means once I graduate, I'm able to go up for licensure for my to be a licensed professional counselor. So that is something to look into if your field does require additional licensure or different certifications after you graduate. We do provide an alumni discount to those who have gotten their undergraduate degree from Alvernia. It is 25% off, but the discount does not apply to doctoral, occupational therapy, or online programs. We do have smaller class sizes. We are a smaller private Franciscan university, and I really think that would benefit you being in a graduate program because you get that really one-to-one education. We also offer flexible schedules and formats. We do provide programs in the day, evening, weekend, and online. Some courses, some programs that we do have are fully online. So if that's something that interested you, we do have that for some of our programs. And as for our fees, we waive our fees for our recent Alvernia graduates. That includes the application fee, the transcript fee because we can just pull it up onto our system, and we also waive the GRE and entrance exams depending on the program again. Typically, even if you are not an Alvernia student, if your grades are up to par, we typically do waive the GRE fee if you have graduated within 5 years. So these are all of our graduate programs. We do have them all listed onto our website as well, and we do have descriptions of all of them as well as our curriculum for what each program has and what credentials each program has. So check that out if you are interested. And we can be found when we're not in quarantine at the Upland Center. We are at 540 Upland Avenue in Reading, PA. When you enter this building, you go through the doors and you make a left into the glass doors, and we have all of our offices for admissions counselors in there. So if you ever want to stop by or have any questions, you are totally welcome to do so. We recommend always making an appointment just to make sure who you want to see is there and available to you at that time. And I also have attached the website. We are alvernia.edu/academic/graduate programs. We also do have locations at Schuylkill and Philadelphia, but the programs do vary by location. If you're interested in either of those locations, I can contact you. I can contact you with who you need to speak to about that. Speaking of who to contact, these are our admissions counselors for our Reading location. So Kelly Burr, she is in charge of the Masters of Business Administration program, Master of Arts in Leadership program, all of the Masters in Education programs, the Doctor of Physical Therapy program, Master of Science in Occupational Therapy, and Master of Science in Athletic Training. So if you have any questions, you can email her at her email right there. And when we're out of quarantine, we will be back in office, and you'll be welcome to call her if it is necessary. We also do have Carly Glassmeyer, and she is the enrollment coordinator of the Masters of Clinical Counseling program, Master of Social Work program, Master of Science in Nursing, and Doctor of Nursing Practice program, as well as adult education, but that is typically for undergrad. But those are the graduate programs that she is in charge of. And you are welcome to email me as well. My email is listed right there. Maybe from a student perspective, if you just want to ask any questions that way, I'd be more than happy to answer anything that I can. And if I don't have the answer, I could totally forward you to the proper person who can provide you with those answers. So transitioning into the student panel, when we do have this event in person, we do have some representatives from current Alvernia graduate students in those programs, but unfortunately we do not have that option today just because of the recent events going on. But I'd be more than happy to share some of my experience thus far. So, like I said, I am a student in the Masters of Arts in Clinical Counseling program. I am in my second semester, so it is the first year out of the 3 years that I will be attending because I'm a full-time student. If you choose to be or if you get accepted into the MAC program, you can do it either in 3 years or 4 years. That's if you take the part-time or full-time track. So just to answer some questions that I would typically ask the panelists, why did I end up seeking out grad school? I knew that when I applied for my undergraduate, I also went to Alvernia for my undergraduate degree, and I got a Bachelor of Science in Psychology. And I knew that I wanted to go right into my graduate program right after I graduated my undergrad, so I searched for a school that had the degree that I wanted, which was counseling. At that point, I didn't know exactly what type of counseling to do, to specialize in. You know, some people do drug and alcohol, some people do marriage and family. I really wanted to leave my options open, and with Alvernia's program, I was able to gain experience in different areas and kind of make that decision for myself when I go into my internship and my practicum hours, to see what exactly I like. I always had a passion for working with kids, so maybe that's something I will pursue, but right now I'm still open to other things. As well as they were CACREP accredited, so when I graduate with my degree, I will be able to go up for my licensing exam and be able to be a licensed professional counselor at the end of all this. So that is my long-term goal. What was my grad school search like, and how many schools did I apply to? So I am from New Jersey. I applied to Alvernia as well as 2 different schools closer to my home. And I looked at the other competitor programs, and they were more specialized in different areas. Like, they were already giving their degree in a specialized area of counseling for drug and alcohol, or marriage and family, children and adolescents, things like that. And like I said before, I wasn't really sure exactly which route I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to counsel people, and I knew I wanted to help people. So giving myself an option of a program that allows me to dip my feet into different areas was really beneficial. And I didn't want to be tied down to exactly one discipline and then go into it a few semesters and be like, oh, I don't like this at all. So I really think it's important to kind of begin broad and then specialize. If you're a person that already knows your specialization and that's what you want to do, that's great. Pursue that area of specialization. How did I pick Alvernia as my school? As I said, I did earn my undergraduate degree from Alvernia, and I decided to stay just because of, you really feel like family when you're here. All the faculty and staff really want to see you succeed, and they will always be so understanding and work with you every step of the way if you're struggling with something. And especially with Alvernia being a KCREP accredited university, I was really drawn there because I can go get my licensure at the end of this and pursue all of my professional goals in the future. How will my grad degree change my experience in my career? So, like I said, I knew exactly that I wanted to be a counselor at the end of my my educational journey. So, with the counseling field, I cannot just start counseling people with a bachelor's degree. So I knew that I needed to pursue at least a master's degree to be able to do that. So earning my graduate degree will allow me to actually pursue my professional goals of actually being able to interact and help people on a one-to-one basis or a one-to group basis. So I think it's really important to look at your personal and educational goals together to see if graduate school is the right option for you to pursue and further your education. So we are coming towards the end of our presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I left my email on that slide. It's just my first name and last name. It's sarah.rustmeyer@alvernia.edu, or you're welcome to email the other individuals, Carly and Kelly, if necessary. If you have any questions about different programs and you want a student perspective, I will definitely try my best to connect you with current graduate students that will be willing to share their story and answer your questions from a student perspective. So before we close, we would love for you to follow us on our social media accounts. We do have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and they're all at Alvernia Grad AE. We post on there, try to do it a couple times a week. We also have our events when we're not in quarantine, and we try to showcase all of our Alvernia graduate students and their current story and their experience to just normalize going back to school and furthering your education. So I want to conclude and say thank you for coming to join us, and reach out if you have any questions.